Millions of Americans are addicted to drugs or alcohol, and millions more struggle with an addicted family member or friend. According to a new poll done by KFF, nearly 2/3 of Americans say their lives have been affected by addiction. Dr. Nicholas Getters, Executive Director of Louisiana Addiction Research Center at LSU Health Shreveport, is here to talk to us about his mission and changing the narrative behind addiction. Well, Doctor, thank you for being here today.
Thank you for having me today.
So why don't you go ahead and talk to us about your mission and what you are doing to change the narrative?
Well, people tend to look down on people that have an addiction problem, whether it's alcohol, heroin, or what the drug may be, and that just shouldn't be done. People need to recognize that no one starts out their life deciding, well, I want to be an alcoholic.
Correct.
Or I want to be a heroin addict, or whatever it might be. They make a bad choice, and once they make that choice, once they use that drug, it starts changing the brain chemistry. And so as the brain chemistry is changed, when they don't have the drug anymore, their body is craving it, and it's coming from the brain.
And doctor, you just said that it starts changing the brain. At what point during that process of the addiction does that begin to happen? Is it a few months in? Is it a few years in? Or does it range from person to person?
It will range from person to person, but it starts right away. Immediately, you start changing the receptors and the other things in the brain that affect our ability to feel pleasure, to feel normal things that people feel. And it's not that it makes the people bad. Their body, their brain has changed.
So it makes them numb to feeling emotion, or am I saying that correctly?
It makes them where they crave the drug. It doesn't necessarily make them numb, but it makes them where they need the drug in order to feel normal, so that it no longer gets them high. It no longer produces many of the effects they sought out maybe when they chose the drug, but now they need it just to feel normal again.
Wow. Now, with nearly 2/3 of Americans saying that their lives have been affected by addiction, do you feel like these numbers are alarming to you? And if so, why?
They're not at all alarming, because I've been in this field for 40 years, and I see how high the numbers are today. And I guess I thought maybe more than 2/3 of the families would have said that they were affected.
Now let's talk about the word addiction specifically. Do you believe that it is a choice?
Well, the first time someone takes a drink or a pain pill, they're making that choice. But I want to back up and say lots of times, in this instance with the opioid crisis, people were prescribed pain pills for a bad back or maybe even for dental work. And they're prescribed the pain pills, and like I said, as soon as they start taking a drug, it starts changing the brain. And then they realize that they need the drug, whether it's the pain pill, alcohol, whatever it is, in order to feel normal, in order to feel right.
How does stress and trauma play a role in addiction, doctor?
It plays a huge role. Many of the people that you'll see that have some sort of addiction, whether it's alcohol, whether it's methamphetamine, whatever, they can report some sort of trauma, especially in childhood. And that seems to go hand in hand with many addictions. And it may be that these traumas prime the brain so that it is more susceptible to whatever drug they choose.
So how are you wanting to change the narrative in how we as a community view addiction?
Well, I want to change the narrative, and the example I'll give is heart disease. Many people with cardiovascular disease have made the bad choice to eat fatty foods, to sit and not exercise, to get fat, and then they realize they have the cardiovascular disease, and we feel sorry for them and want to help them. If somebody makes the choice to start drinking or use methamphetamine, we shun them. They're pushed to the side. We don't want to deal with them. We don't want to think about them. We don't want to invite them to family gatherings because of the way they behave. And so they become more and more isolated and fall deeper into their addictions.
Well, thank you so much, doctor, for being here today. I know we didn't get to all of our questions, but believe you me, we will have you back so you can discuss this further, because this is actually a very, very important topic. So thank you for being here today and letting us know about all this knowledge about addiction.
Thank you so much for having me.
Absolutely.